by adding the following new Article 3 trust act, the purpose of which is to increase public confidence in the city of Brockton and its police department and to encourage members of the community to work in its partnership with the police. I have a request from Councilor Rodriguez and from Vic and others to postpone this until after the first of the year.
I feel that we need to act on this evening. I feel that nothing has changed due to the election of president, and I feel that the city, our constituents need to know where they stand. We have gotten many calls, whether they are for this act or whether they're against it. I feel that we need to act on it this evening. As they asked me to postpone this, we have Council Cruz and District Attorney Cruz couldn't make it, Chief couldn't make it, and we told everybody else basically we're going to postpone this. They didn't want to postpone it, so they are not here tonight. So either we can postpone it or not. But I need a second, and I need a motion to postpone it. Well, if not, it's up to the body.
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
With all due respect to Councilor, the fact that our colleague who proposes, Mr. Rodriguez himself, has asked that it be postponed, yes. I think a professional courtesy, we need to do that, number one. Yes. Number two, since this is such an important, hot issue that's been going on for a while, the fact that our law enforcement officials, and I think Sheriff McDonald was a good invitee as well, right. But with all due respect to the fact that it needs to be postponed because Councilor Rodriguez has asked that, but also I would think that we want to hear from Chief Crowley, we want to hear from DA Cruz, right. And I think Joe McDonald, the sheriff, who just got reelected, we want to hear from him as well. I know Attorney Fedoroff is here, but if some of these individuals were told yes. not to come, it's not going to be a fair discussion. Exactly. We're not going to get their point. So with all due respect, I'm going to make a motion to postpone.
On the motion,
yep.
Many of these individuals have already been invited and they haven't come to past meetings, so I'd like to make sure that they're here for the next meeting.
DA Cruz and Sheriff McDonald are definitely new. They haven't been invited, and I think I'd like to hear from DA Tim Cruz yes. and Joe McDonald about that issue. And I agree with you, Councilor. If they're on here, we need to make sure that, I mean, we can't force them to be here, but we would respectfully ask them to be here at the next meeting, and you're going to call that
after the first of the year. I haven't got a date yet, but it will be after.
And you might not even be the chair after the first of the year,
yeah.
so okay.
But it would be after the first of the year,
okay.
And that's when it was requested by Councilor Rodriguez. But Councilor Stevens,
on the motion, are we allowed to ask for a designee if the named person can't be here? I'd like to see that. If Mr. Cruz couldn't be here, having some
his designee
with
okay.
what he can give us.
But I'm pretty sure what I will do is contact him and get a date that he definitely can't be here. So I think we can get everybody here. Chief Crowley came up with tonight something the last minute, so he couldn't make it, and that was for another ordinance also. So,
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna modify my motion. I'm gonna make a motion to postpone until after the first of the year. I'm gonna incorporate and respectfully ask that, or his or her designee is added into the actual invited language,
okay.
And with the hope that we actually get the original people we invite.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Get a second on that? Go ahead, Councilor. Hold on.
Just on the motion, though, Mr. Chairman, and I can understand the reasoning to, put it forward to hearing it in January. But once it is before us in January, it needs to be heard and done with and over with. There's no reason to keep carrying on, because it makes us look like we're afraid to make a decision. And I've already said no. I don't care how it's written, how you respell it, however you want to do it. I've always said no. And I mean, right. It needs to be put forth and let it go. But I'll go with what you're doing this evening because these people couldn't be here. But I also I agree with the other councils too that if they can't, then send a designee and then let's just be done with it.
Or designate, yes, okay. All right, so we have a second on that motion. Postpone it. Okay. All right, all in favor? Opposed?